the boys, Fox and Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice. One thing cold, but the penny turn red. Can't let that clear in my head, war gaming.
Hey, what's going on, guys? You have tuned into Hobby Homies. We are your weekly tabletop podcast. I am Shane. As always, I'm hanging out with Fox.
Howdy.
And of course, we've got Churchy behind
How you going, guys?
the stuff. I looked at that screen waiting for it to change.
You'll get good at this one day.
One day.
Today is not that day.
No, definitely not. We have just spent the last 16 hours playing this lovely game, Root.
Absolutely.
A game of woodland might and right.
Yeah, yeah, and it was we might have played quicker had we have got it right, but alas, we did not. So Root is this is my board game collection. Most of this was bought from Board Games from the Board.
Oh,
for the
nice.
Board Games for the Board, who will start streaming soon. Maybe we can pop a link to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this episode's
on Twitch
description.
Yep.
Which would be dope.
Check it out. Give him a follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Give him the old. Oh wait, that's a thumb up. I don't know what they do on Twitch.
Heart.
You're doing a heart, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you
What
narrated.
sound does a heart make? So a thumb up makes a... Yeah. Flashbacks.
I just assume all hearts sound like a chimpanzee.
They do.
All right, so yeah, we did. We played Root with all the expansions, so we had access to all, I believe, 9 of the factions.
Yeah, we only played with 3 though.
Correct, on account of the player count that we had. 3. Yeah. So Root is, I guess, the lore of the game is that you play all these different denizens of the woodland.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that the woodlands, there's clearings where they have their sort of little villages and paths between each one.
Yeah.
But then there's the sort of the dark forest that
Correct.
they don't go into.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, they kind of assume that all the smaller creatures and critters are sentient.
Yep.
So, you've got like your owls and your eagles and your rabbits and basically anything that's
What's the term for a humanized? Is it
anamorphic?
Something like that. Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that.
Well, so they-
Anthropomorphized.
that's the
Yeah,
one. There's some
anthropomorphic.
Yeah. A whole bunch of syllables.
Anthropomorphic
But they give
creatures.
them weapons and clothes and stuff like that, which
They're
is really
sentient
cool.
characters.
Yeah.
The art is fantastic by Kyle Farron.
It is.
He does a lot of art in all of this company Leader Games' games.
Nice.
And it translates well to other forms, but he just nailed it with Root.
Yeah, he did. Because I remember us talking about the game before it came out, and you were sold on the art alone.
That's it.
Right?
When it was just an original Kickstarter, I was like, I
Yeah.
just bought this game for the art. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's any good.
Yeah.
And then it became one of the best board games of all time.
Yep.
Easily. And it's well received. It's just fantastic. It's definitely a bit more complex than a gateway game, but we'll get into all that.
Yeah.
But you're right. So you play as these sentient, smaller denizens of the woodlands, but you don't dare go into the forest. And it's sort of, even in the lore, it's like anything that's kind of like a wolf or a bear, although I think there is some wolves in there. Anyways, like big bears or deer or moose, those bigger creatures are wild as we know them, predators.
Yeah.
And
Just imagine a moose being a predator.
I know a moose that's a predator.
Oh, you can't say that. You'll get some sort of restraint on him, dude. Remember that to go near parks and schools.
You know what? You're right. I was thinking of the aliens versus predator creatures, but you're right. I've misspoke. I would like this redacted and expunged from the records. Yeah, absolutely. Moose are terrifying.
Oh, they'll kill a man.
Yeah.
They will straight up
so
murder
big,
you.
man.
Yeah.
But like, they don't just
Moose.
walk around just killing people because they feel like it.
This is spoken like a man who's never been face to face with a killer moose.
No, I haven't. Not yet. I'm
That's
going up to
exactly-
Queensland soon, though.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Moose are terrifying, and that's the episode. So, all the big creatures are scary and wild, and you don't go into the forest, not just because of them, but because of bandits and whatnot.
Humans, probably.
So the forest is like, there's no such thing.
Okay.
The Underhive, the slums, the Detroit
Wow,
of this
okay.
land. Yeah.
We love Detroit.
No, we don't. That's facts, dude. It's a run down piece of crap.
Jesus.
Unless you're from Detroit, in which case, God bless you. Don't
Listeners
subscribe
there,
to our Patreon. Save that money.
Listeners there.
And may salvation find you soon.
Yes, absolutely. They know. They just traded Matt Stafford. That's an NFL thing. But they know. They feel it.
Anyway.
Anyways, so we play as the smaller denizens trying to fight for these clearings because they're in short supply.
Yeah.
We have factions such as the Marquis de Cat,
Yes.
the
Eerie Dynasty.
Eerie Dynasty, which is a bunch of birds who are, consider themselves noble. They're the original rulers of the woodland.
Yep.
But then the Marquis de Cat, which is this heavily industrialized England, so to speak, has come in and basically pushed the Eerie back and retake it. So the cats have beaten the birds, unsurprisingly.
Unsurprisingly, yep.
But the birds are trying to still get their land back. And then you've got your faction,
The Woodland Alliance.
which are watching this big fight between the bird and the cats.
Yep. They're the little critters like mice, rabbits, and foxes.
Exactly.
All teaming up to take on the big baddies.
And so, but they have to do it in secret because they don't have quite the manpower.
No, and they haven't got the equipment and they haven't got all that sort of stuff. So
Exactly.
they're building these little rebel alliances and then uprising and taking over clearings and building them into little bases and
Yeah.
very cool.
It's very cool. And everything that we're talking about translates perfectly to the asymmetric playstyle of
It does.
Root the board
It
game.
really does.
You also have Vagabonds, which is just like individual characters.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 9 cards, so you can pick from 9 different Vagabonds when you play.
Really?
And you can have up to 2 in a game.
Wow, I didn't know that. I only thought that there was just the one vagabond. I didn't realize you could have there was different types of vagabond.
Yeah, in fact, one of the expansions that I got from Board Games for the Board was like little meeples to match the card, because it used to be like you just had a generic badger,
Yeah.
but you could take a card that was like a wolf or a harrier or whatever.
Nice.
But you use the badger and you're like, but I'm not a badger. So now I've got meeples that associate with the thing. So that was the base game, and then they introduced the lizard cult, which were a bunch of religious lizard crocodile people.
Yep.
Who build gardens and act all innocent, but then try and convert you to their cult. It's
They
interesting.
sacrifice virgins.
I mean, he's carrying a skull, so
Clearly.
say what you will about that lizard.
Yep.
As you can see, the art is just bloody adorable.
It is.
Speaking of the other faction introduced in the Riverfolk expansion, you've got the
Riverfolk.
Riverfolk. They're the Riverfolk, and that's the expansion. And they're beavers and otters and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're just pure merchants. They're fun, so fun to play.
And they can actually travel up and down the river.
Yeah.
Instead of using the roads.
And you can pay them to travel the river for free.
yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
You can buy their cards off them.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of merchant. It's just, they're my favorite race.
Nice.
Both of those, I think, are just incredible.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one is the expansion we played
Yep.
with the Underground Duchy,
Yep.
which are the moles, whom I played.
Yes.
And then the Corvid Conspiracy,
Yep.
which are the crows, who Churchy played.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those, the Underground Duchy are just this underground, they're their own nobility. They think they are the Eerie dynasty, but below the ground
Yep.
in tunnels, and they dig and whatnot. And then the Corvid Conspiracy spread plots and mistrust and all that kind of stuff.
So seeds of despair.
Exactly. It's just such a diverse range of factions,
It's very cool.
and all their playstyles translate so well to the tabletop comparative of their narrative. Which
Well,
is,
yeah, as I was playing the Woodland Alliance, I felt like I was doing that. Like, you know, you explained to me that they started off as sort of just a rumor, you know, whispers between little clearings that there's this group of other, you know, rabbits and mice and foxes that are teaming up to take on the evil moles and the dastardly crows, you know.
Dastardly.
Dastardly.
My mans gets bonus points for using dastardly.
Thank you. And then I started gaining my sympathy throughout the different clearings, and then I did an uprising and killed a few of the crows.
Yeah.
Took over that clearing and built a little fort, a little base.
Yeah.
Started recruiting warriors, and it's such a fun game. And yeah, like the narrative is brilliant.
I feel
Brilliant.
like it's so well thought out. It feels like you've got your own faction card, and every faction is completely asymmetric.
Yep.
So you play like we all craft, we all move, we all fight, but the way that we do that is completely different.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's no wasted. They don't just put something in because they think it's balanced or they think you need it or whatever. They put a rule in if it matches the play style of what the law, the way it feels like you should play.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, you're all about, you've got your base and then you elect your officers and how many officers you have. You
Yep.
know, you get completely militarized after you've built up your supporters and spread your sympathy.
Yeah, because all these other groups have started coming together, and one of the brilliant rules on mine, which you guys played well because you didn't really allow me to gain it, but was a rule called outrage, where if I had supporters in one particular clearing, and you moved your troops into there, you would have to give me a supporter card.
Yeah.
So you'd give me a card matching that clearing.
Yeah.
And I could use that later on to raise more supporters in different clearings and stuff like that. So
it's incredible. And the lore behind that is a lot of the woodlands hear of these far off wars between all these different factions, and the Woodland Alliance is trying to be like, hey, we need to take our woodland back.
Yeah.
But they don't really, a lot of the locals don't really feel like that's true until
troops march through their town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what gains them supporters when they see another faction move in and they're like, oh, wait, this is happening.
Yeah.
So that's why when someone moves in, you gain that supporter card.
Yep.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
And that's just your faction. They're all as well thought out as that. I played the Underground Duchy.
Yep.
Which is moles. Purely moles. And I'd never played them before, and I was a little bit unfamiliar with... I wanted to know how different they were to the Erie Dynasty, in that the Erie Dynasty sort of elects its council, and you have your main... Is it called a mayor? I forget. But
like a leader.
Yeah. And you have your... you sort of appoint people in the political... I forget what that's called, sphere.
Yeah.
So you basically create your political party as you play along.
Yeah, your cabinet.
Yeah, your cabinet, exactly. And they all have different abilities and allow you to do different things. And then it gets completely overthrown if you ever can't deliver on the promises that they make.
I remember, like, we'd played once before, and you played as the Erie Dynasty, and I was looking at that, I'm like, that is so complicated.
Yeah.
Because you've got to, make these promises as per each one.
Yeah.
And if you can't fulfill it, then you go into turmoil.
Yeah.
And then,
turmoil,
which was a negative thing. I can't quite remember what happened, but
you completely reset the cabinet.
Yeah.
You delete the cabinet, and you put 2 more in there, and you start again. You build your way back up. It's funny you mentioned them. If you ever wondered if we had credibility talking on Root, the board game, this is the only time I've ever had credibility. In fact, I was the #1 Root player in the world.
Wow.
On the PC game for the entire first week.
Fair income.
Yeah, I got screenshots.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. There's only 10 players.
It doesn't matter, dude. #1 is #1.
Yeah.
No.
By default, I'll allow it.
It was the most addicted to a PC game I'd ever been. I sunk over 100 hours in that first week.
That is
A
insane.
lot. Yeah,
It's
lot.
insane.
I had a full-time job and a child at that time. A newborn.
Probably a newborn. You're probably nursing him.
Yeah.
I've got to fulfill this. So go to
Definitely.
turmoil.
In fact, the reason I put it down is because it meant so much more to me than every other aspect of my life. And I was like, you know what? This is time. I'm going to hang up the boots.
Root, my son,
Yeah.
my wife.
Yeah. In
that order.
In that order. Well, in no particular order after Root.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was super fun. That was just the PC game just had the first 4 races.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
What I love is that I used to only play as the Erie Dynasty when I played online, and I just felt dominant because they are so difficult. But there's this once you know a bit of a technique to them. If people don't know how to shut that particular playstyle down, you just steamroll. Yeah, absolutely. You've got birds across the map by turn 3, and they're just like, "How do I stop you now?" I'm like, "No, that's too late.
Yeah,
you needed to stop me 2 turns ago."
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like with this game, like we experienced it in our game. I don't know if we want to give any spoilers or do a spoiler alert.
Let's do it.
Probably.
So, we're releasing a playthrough of it
Very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon. It might even come out before this. Hopefully.
Oh, really?
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, who knows? If it's out, it's out, and you've already seen it. If
Maybe.
it's not out, it's coming.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch our playthrough with no spoilers,
Yep. Put the
pause
brakes
this,
on. Yep. Pause it.
Go
Come
watch
back.
that. Come back. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Because we're about to spoil it.
So you steamrolled again, snowballed. Churchy and I, learning the game, took those couple of crucial early turns.
Yeah.
Where I think we didn't place them as well as we should have, or maybe place our troops in enough of a sort of a strategic position.
Yeah.
And allowed you to get like a good foothold.
Yeah.
And then from there, you just climbed.
I was able to build my engine relatively unchecked.
Yeah.
And I played the Duchy similar to how I play the Erie, just because I was like, I feel like they've got a similar aspect to them.
Yeah.
So I'll just focus on
true?
that. It is. Yeah, it is true. It's about just getting troops on the board
Yeah.
to put you guys in that situation where you found if you put a token down, it was free for me to kill it.
Yeah.
And you felt so oppressed. You were like, I need my tokens down, but if I put it in a square Fox is in or next to,
Yeah.
he's just going to kill it.
There was one point just near the end of the game there when I had sympathy in a rabbit clearing in the middle,
Yeah.
and you killed Churchy's plot.
Yeah.
And his troops that were there.
Yeah.
I was one turn away. Or the
no.
next turn, I was about to revolt, which would have killed all of your guys' troops in
Yeah.
that one clearing.
Yeah.
And I would have had a rabbit base in the middle of the board.
Yeah.
And that would have been, by then it wouldn't have changed. Like, you still probably would have won.
Yeah.
But it would have been a massive turning point for me.
Yeah. It would have got you on the map.
Yeah.
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 But I didn't know that, but I knew that was a possibility.
Yeah.
Anytime, that's the thing you learn, like we said throughout the game or after, I was like, Root is the kind of game you need to play once before you can play it properly.
Yeah.
You know, you need to, you spend the first 5 turns just learning how to play a faction, and then by the time you do, you look back and go, I should have played those first 3 most core turns so differently. You know, I would have done so much different. I would have first, and it's not just that, but it's also learning about the opponent factions.
Absolutely.
Because you learn yours, and then you're like, oh, actually, not only did I need to do all of that, but I need to make sure Shane's tokens were down, Fox's buildings were down, so he couldn't get that massive, what did he call it? What did you call it before? Cabinet of Duchy. You know, we need to keep Churchy's conspiracies plots down, but Churchy's like, oh, maybe I needed to put out more dudes so I could just get more plots out. Plots are more important than guys early on, you know?
Yeah, definitely, like, when I was playing, I definitely noticed that I was, what I should have done is just tried to get a lot more of the plots out and not really worry if one gets killed, because if I try and get, like, 2 or 3 out and then maybe, like, try to do the same thing again the next turn and then start using that more to kind of drive you guys to have to try and fight them, but at the same time not knowing whether it would be a bomb or a trap or whatever. So that's where I went wrong, because I was sort of like, I'll play one plot and then I might try and attack this place and move these guys here, when I should have just been, and the way that my guys could get distributed too, I should have just been doing the recruit phase, not really worrying about moving anyone, because I can use that phase to then drop the plots around the place and not have to worry about moving around and stuff. So I definitely messed up how I played my guys, but it's all part of the learning experience.
Dude.
So much fun though.
And my mistake as the most experienced player was playing as a faction that I had never played before. So I was trying to learn mine instead of teach you how to play yours. Like, I taught you how to play and read your rules and do your things, but I was not present enough to be able to go, all right, Shane, so this is your goal. You want to look for... Because I didn't know my bases and having my buildings out was so strong until, like, turn 4, when I was just slapping down dudes, and I was like, this is actually because of my buildings.
Yeah, and you started telling us, you're like, dude, you got to stop this.
Yeah.
And of course, like, you know, we're playing a game, right? You're not going to just start going easy on us.
No.
But you're like, this is how I win. Guys, you need to do something.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're like, we're trying, but like...
I was too far ahead.
And like every... Like, Churchy and I basically... I mean, I'd basically said, I'm not going to attack Churchy, right? Because he's like, you're the threat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course, Churchy is too, but like, I'm like... You know, Churchy's the lesser of the two evils right now. So I'm like, I'm just going to like... not attack Churchy, you know, like intentionally.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try and focus on you.
Yeah.
But every like uprising that I had was in a clearing that was controlled by Churchy. So I was
no.
I'm like, this isn't hostile, but like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, multiple times throughout. It's like,
Yeah.
look, this isn't an act of aggression.
No,
Yeah.
it's a
But,
military
I don't know,
exercise.
It's
Yeah.
just doing some military exercises here, yeah.
And
Yeah.
in all the games of Root I've played, and hopefully partly because I warned you guys, but you were by far the best players who have played their game one in terms of how aggressive you were. Because like I said, so many people I play with are just like too hesitant. They're like, we're all friends. It's a war game, yeah, but I just want to do my thing. And you know, maybe I'll attack you once, and I attacked you last time, so this time I'll do. You know, you can't. In Root, it's gotta be go for the throat.
It's like,
and you guys did, but against each other. You know?
And also, it's funny though, because like, for my particular race, I probably would have done better if I did hold back a bit and just kind of pulled troops a little bit and like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of it's funny, but like the advice applies, but still,
It's obviously it's situational. You know, but like, definitely. Like, why play a war game if you're like, I'm not going to shoot at you. I'm just going to like move over to this objective.
Yeah.
You know.
So many times people will play, but the flip side of what Churchy was saying is that sometimes you can play too turtled up.
Yeah.
And you can try and get your engine going, and then when a person moves in and hit you,
it throws everything out,
and you lose this whole clearing, and suddenly they've got 4 or 5 meeples right on your doorstep, and you haven't done anything.
That was kind of like what happened to me when you took out my rabbit clearing in the middle there, which I was banking on to revolt. And then I was just like, well, now I'm stuffed.
Yeah. It's almost like you might have turtled up just a little too much, and Churchy might have gone aggressive a little too hard. But that's a little. But the thing is, those tweaks. This is what's so awesome about the game is that if you play the exact same races next time, and I change mine, the dynamic of the game changes as well. Because suddenly, maybe to establish dominance against the Eerie Dynasty constantly expanding, Churchy needs to play that aggressive first, and then swap over to dropping plots. And sometimes the Corvid Conspiracy they flood the board. You get like 12 models out there. No one's really worried because you got one here, one there. It's obviously not fighting. And then 2 turns in a row, you drop 3 plots. You got 6 on the table. All your guys are gone, but like we're just like, I can't disarm all of these, you know. And
that raid mechanic that Churchy was putting out was insane. Like, you know, once it's flipped or cleared or whatever, spawning models on each like adjacent clearing. Was. You were bringing out 3 every turn.
A lot of dudes.
And then you think if you can recruit for 1 card and put 3 dudes down, and then for 1 raid put another 3 dudes down, you've got 6, which means on your next turn, you got 6 free guys. You can put down 3 plots. And it's cost you nothing extra. And then you
can bring those back again. Really.
Again, because those 3 plots, you can have 2 raids. And then you've got 6 from that. So it can get quite good, but again, and then once you have the plots on the table, you can switch them around, which you were struggling because switch is useless when you've got 2 plots.
Exactly. Which is again where I sort of played them wrong because I was staggering out the plots and stuff way too much. I wasn't being like, all right, flood with 3, and then the next turn maybe put another 2 and do a switch. And like I was like, I'll do 1 plot and I'll attack once and I'll which is just not working very well.
So I think we played probably 5 or 6 turns.
I reckon
something like that.
At least 6. If
you imagine from turn 2 onwards, you're getting 2 or 3 points per plot.
Exactly.
Of victory points. That's not even talking about removing ours. You know, that puts you at 10 or 12.
And I think that was the other thing with me was that I didn't sort of realize how getting the plots out there is what I wanted to do. Because by doing that, I'm getting victory points for each turn when I flip them up. And then I get more and more the more plots I have. So not only can I do that, but then also me having plots in all sorts of random spots would have meant that like you guys would be wanting to deal with them. Because you'd be like, oh no. But then that's where that extra layer comes in of like, but some of my plots, when you try and deal with them, will be really bad for you. Which is what I didn't, in my head, I didn't really bring it all together in terms of like, oh, so this is how I should be playing. And for next time.
I honestly don't think you can in the first game. I don't think you could come in dry to Root, or having not played it for a few years, or just played the base one on PC. Like I said, it changes whenever you bring in new factions, so you need to know them all so well, to the point where you know the other ones so well. You're like, well, I know how Shane's going to play. Hopefully he'll play like I would. Yeah. In which case, this is what I need to do. Oh, but wait, we've got the Corvid conspiracy in play. So if he starts putting plots down whilst I'm trying to do this to Shane, then that's going to get, Yeah. And that's the beauty of the game. We're only talking about 3 factions, you know? We start introducing a random vagabond who's just strolling around and shooting you from the forest for free, killing your buildings. He could do that. Yep. Kill a building without having to kill your warriors first. Oh, fair. So imagine how much that would hurt me. Yeah. If he pops in, kills a building, which completely it knocks out my highest. I forget what they were called.
Squires.
There were squires, nobles, but I forget what they were all called collectively. Yeah, my nobility. Yeah. It takes out my highest one of that. Yep. So that's the beauty of the game. I think is you've got this immersive faction in front of you. Yeah. That feels like, based on the story that it tells you, it plays that exact way. And so did yours. And so I'm just having fun watching you play yours. Yeah. I'm like, of course, that's exactly what they would do in the woodland. And then there's the Corvid conspiracy, and they're doing exactly what they would do. And then we're mashing up against each other on the table. And then it's like, we can have that exact same experience and just flip it on its head by adding the merchants. Yep. Who make some factions super strong. Yeah, because they can sell their cards, so you can buy my cards, which you can then add to your supporters. So now every turn you've got an extra 2 supporters. Yep. So that's an extra 2 victory points when you're throwing out your sympathy. Gets nuts. It's amazing. Yeah. It'd be interesting because you also mentioned there's an automaton. Yes. Yeah. Or automata, whatever it's called. Yeah, the clockwork orange. Clockwork. Yeah. Or whatever it's called. It's like, so it's got the AI element. So it introduces the AI mechanic. So that'd be interesting. Yeah. Be interesting to play maybe us 3 and an AI or something like that. You can play that way, or you can play cooperative. We could all play against an AI and try and beat them. And with that expansion, could you play it solo? Yes, you can. Oh, wow. That's the intention. Originally, when Root first came out, you could also still play it solo or co-op. Yep. But it was by far the most garbage solo co-op experience I've ever had. Wow, really? It's horrible. So when I saw this Clockwork expansion, which boasted to improve it dramatically. So they're like, we're fixing this. That's it, yeah. So I was like, well, first of all, thank goodness they realized how bad it was that they needed to, but also thank goodness that they've gone, instead of releasing another couple of factions that people will buy, we'll focus on just making solo and co-op better, and hope some people buy that. So I did like that move from them, so I bought it. It's still new in shrimp. Oh, fair income. Yeah, so we can hit that up next time potentially. Yeah. That's probably a better way, but I didn't know that well enough to be able to throw that on the table. So better way to learn probably. Yeah. So, question for both of you, having now played it once. Go on, dude. We roll it again. Yep. Are you playing the same faction, or are you curious about picking up a different one? Same faction. Yeah. I do want to play the Vagabond at one point. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're all interesting, right? They all look cool, but I can see myself next game playing the same faction, the Woodland Alliance. Churchy?
Yeah, I can definitely see myself playing the Corvid conspiracy again, just because it'll be fun to know, like, be a bit more aware of, like, the game and how I should kind of be playing the faction. Yeah. But also, those Riverfolk ones sound really cool. Like, I like the sound of the merchants and the crocodile guys, like the cult almost. Like,
they're both so cool.
Yeah. They both sound like they've got really interesting mechanics. So
that's a good summation. They're more interesting than they are good. Having said that, like, a good player could win with them. Yeah. It's just difficult because the Merchant Alliance, you need to be in everyone's face and convince them to
utilize you moving up and down the river.
Absolutely. And buying your cards, and there's another thing that they allow you to do. It's almost Sidereal Confluence, where you have to sell your product to the other players. And if they just don't want it, you're kind of stonewalled. Yeah. So it's fun. That element of them is fun, and then the lizard people are interesting. They got a few unique mechanics that it's like you can't. Some games you're just like, oh, this is so strong. Yeah. And then others you're like, I can't do anything. Yeah. So They're fun. They're the most fun two factions definitely in the game.
Nice.
But I was going to say something. But I forgot.
What was the other faction out of the core box? So we've got the Eerie Dynasty,
Yeah.
Makita Cat,
Yeah.
Woodland Alliance,
And the Vagabonds.
and the
four.
Vagabonds.
Yeah.
Ah, righto.
So I think even in the original faction you could have original set you could have up to 2 Vagabonds.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the good thing about the game is the balance mechanic that they have to make sure you're always playing a good game.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know about this, and maybe it didn't exist for the first 2 expansions, but sometimes if we just went, like we did at the start of today, who do you want to play? And you guys said the factions you picked, but
Yeah.
I chose the Lizards.
Yeah, yeah.
But the book tells you to make sure you play factions that have a combined score of X.
Yeah,
which for us
yeah, it was
at a 3-player
18.
game was 18.
So they used what they called reach as a sort of a balancing score,
Yeah.
giving each faction certain points, and they said a good game will have 18 plus.
Yeah. For 3 players.
For 3 players.
Yeah.
Some factions had 2.
Yeah, the Lizards had 2,
Yeah.
and both of yours had 3.
Yeah.
So our combined score was 8.
8
Out of 18.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
Normally
normally,
it'd be a good time.
yeah, if we were all new, I would have just been like, yeah, I mean, why not just play whatever we want?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've played those games before that reach
Yeah.
suggestion existed, and those games are garbage. We played one where it was like 2 Vagabonds and the Woodland Alliance.
Oh, yeah.
There was just nothing on the table.
Yeah, nah.
There was nothing.
Well, the Vagabonds, they were just one meeple, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're moving them around or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the Woodland Alliance, you're just gaining sympathy.
And you could, the Woodland Alliance just rolled over it. It
Yeah,
was like, I
yeah.
feel like it was like 30 victory points, like 8.
Wow.
Because like they were like, all right, I'll spread 4 sympathy. The next time it was like, I'll spread another 3 sympathy.
Yeah.
They just spent all their cards on that. And then if the Vagabond ever moved in, it was like, all right, give me your cards.
Narratively, though, it doesn't make sense to me because it's like you're building this Woodland Alliance because
Yeah.
it's like there's these 2 guys out there.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they're not on the same team,
Yeah.
but they keep doing shit.
Yeah, and
Like,
even...
So let's build an army.
Yeah. Careful, everyone. Somewhere out there, there's
There's
2
guys.
dudes. And everyone's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where Vagabond makes sense when there's like 2 big armies fighting, or like the Eerie Dynasty and the Woodland Alliance.
Yeah.
Because the Vagabond are coming in doing their own sort of, subterfuge and,
Yeah.
and like, like sort of from the shadows kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And the Vagabond are incredibly balanced in a large game.
Yeah.
And a well-reached game.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad they added that because that changed who I picked to make them the Duchy, which I think,
Yeah.
if we had to play the same game again, you guys are right there with me.
Yeah,
In terms of points, we had lots of equal battles. At the end, I started to just like have that bottom side of the map, but
Yeah.
that was less about the balance of the races we picked.
Oh, it definitely wasn't
just-
the balance.
And just
it
more
was-
about me being a big old neckbeard and
Yeah.
just like,
You're a nerd.
oh, I love this game. This is my game. I mean, I had to win. Imagine how much shit you guys would have gave me.
Yeah, Of course.
No, you would have been fun. Yeah.
Next time, dude.
So
Me
I
and
think
Churchy, you got to come out.
We will crush you.
So, my recommendation is if you ever play Root and you do have all the expansions, follow. We didn't even follow it to the letter.
No.
I think our reach score was only 14 or something,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
but much closer than 8.
It was fine.
I would highly recommend following loosely the score that it recommends. I know sometimes that it means, I have to play this faction instead of the one I wanted,
Yeah.
but I promise you that's going to be a much more fun experience than
Yep.
just rolling with whatever you wanted and being like, oh wait, this is garbage.
Yep.
Our factions don't interact. It's not the power level of the factions.
No.
It's just how well they interact on a map.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So definitely recommend hitting that up.
Yeah.
What was your favorite element of the game?
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh man, I don't really know because like a lot of the time I felt like I couldn't do much until I could do stuff.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't like I'd place like me doing something big was
Getting a base
getting a
out.
base down, right?
Yeah.
Which is clearing your guys' stuff off, or well, Churchy's. I think 2 guys was the most I killed at one point.
Yeah. For
And then
no
putting
victory
one
points.
little square down,
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was big to me, but it was like compared to you, you're like, I'm gonna build this here. I'm gonna fucking put 4 guys from the burrows over here. I'm gonna move these guys. I'm gonna battle.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, sympathy.
And I did have
Please
sympathy.
give me
for you.
sympathy.
I did have sympathy for you, dude.
Feel sorry for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I can't really narrow it down to like one point. Like I liked the whole bird song daytime evening kind of
Yeah.
time frame. You know, like
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff I could do in my evening, which you guys were doing in your bird song or in your daytime. And it
Yeah.
makes kind of sense, right? Because the Woodland Alliance, I imagine they have that sort of sneaky element.
Yeah.
And like most of my stuff, I would do at night.
Yeah.
I would move under the cover of darkness because I haven't got
Yeah.
a column of troops.
Yeah.
You know, I've only got like a wee band of you know, merry men.
Yeah.
And so they'd move from town to town at night time
Yeah.
to avoid the eyes of the bigger armies and stuff like that.
I believe all your military operations happened at night.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny, this game and this universe doesn't have like a big book of lore.
No.
It's all driven by a handful of paragraphs in the rule book and the way the factions play on the table.
Yep.
And just indications of art on the cards.
But they built an RPG around it.
Oh man, remember when we played this RPG?
Yeah, in your garage of your old house.
Yeah, the house before the house that I'm in now.
Yeah.
Because the very first time they had a Kickstarter for the RPG,
Yeah.
which expanded on the lore, but that wasn't in the quick start rules. That was just rules, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, a handful of more paragraphs that was written that just rehashed what was already in the book, the rule book for this game.
Yeah.
But so with the quick start guide and a handful of not much else, and having never run an RPG, we just I DM'd, I GM'd a game for you,
Yep.
just based on the lore that I knew from the base game
Yep.
of this.
Yeah, before the expansions were even a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And it was incredibly fun. And now 2.5 years later, they've actually released that RPG
Yep.
in a physical copy,
Yep.
which we unboxed on one of our previous episodes.
Yeah, link in the description.
Yeah, so that's hype, and hopefully we'll get around that. And if you're listening to this, you've got a fair understanding of at least how 3 of the factions and the Woodland in general function.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Churchy, what was your favourite aspect of the game?
It's it's kind of related to what you were talking about in terms of like how your guys were doing everything at night and stuff. I think I would say just the asymmetrical nature of all the factions, and then basically the game feels like an RTS
yeah,
that's made into a board game and has a bunch of different races that all kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, they've just done that really well, because like already just based on playing the 3 factions we played, I can already tell that there's just so much just asymmetry but depth to each race, like each faction. So
yeah.
so it was definitely my favorite thing, because it's
Yeah.
already like, oh man, I'd love to experiment with the other factions and see how they play and like see how they interact with the other factions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Fox was mentioning, like every single game would be a bit different, because depending on what factions you've got on the board,
Yep.
it's going to play out way different. So
Yeah.
It really does.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's like there's like a few different roles, and some factions automatically take some roles, like map oppression
Yep.
is always done by Marquis de Cat, the Duchy, the Erie Dynasty, and so you find the root of what's causing that expansion that they're doing,
Yep.
that Blitzkrieg effect that they have,
Yeah, yeah.
and you undercut that. So then you've got the factions that are good at sort of getting in there
Yep.
and hitting their burrows or their roosts or whatever it is without having to kill all their things.
Yeah, yep.
So then you've got your factions that are good at that, and you've got your factions that are good at sort of working in the background. And so I think the reach system probably uses those roles where it's like, make sure you have an oppressor. They're probably worth like 10 points.
Yep. Yep.
And then those other like more niche roles like undercutting and background, whatever you would call that, shenanigans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Give
Have
them
a-
fewer points.
Yeah, but are essential in undoing those bigger ones.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's funny, like some of the things that I had the ability to do, I didn't quite get to pull them off, but like being able to revolt and get the base down
Yeah.
would clear every enemy unit off that clearing.
Yeah.
And like you could have like 6 guys there because you're getting ready to attack Churchy's 3 guys.
Yeah.
And if I've got favor there or sympathy there,
Yep.
all I need to do is have 2 cards, or by then it needs to be 3 cards, I think.
Once we have lots of people,
Lots
there.
of guys there,
Yeah.
and then I can go bang.
No, that's
Revolt.
only to put
Oh,
the
that's only
sympathy
put
there.
sympathy, of course. Yeah. So that's just to revolt. So
Yeah.
then the town turns on you guys.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So
When you
yeah.
pull that off, it's amazing. But I think so many Woodland Alliance players get trapped into thinking if they just do a base for nothing, it's no value.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I should be doing this base flip to kill a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just want to get sympathy out there.
Yeah.
And then people have to kill it because they fear the revolt.
Yeah.
And then every time they kill it, they give you more cards, which makes it spreading sympathy. Sometimes you can win the game just spreading sympathy
Yeah.
and having one base in the corner.
Yeah. Because I put one base down, and I was like, okay, this is my HQ, right? This is where everything else is gonna. This is home base.
Yeah.
Everything else
Yeah.
is gonna come out from here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna pop up one over there. I can only have one base per like faction, right? Like mouse,
Clearing.
rabbit, but
Yeah.
clearing mouse, rabbit, or fox.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I've got my rabbit or whatever it was down here. Next one will go over there, and then the other one will go over there, and
Yeah.
I'll have full control of the board,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I love your dreams and your hopes
Oh,
and
yeah.
desires.
Thanks, dude. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it again next time.
Yeah. I think your whole sympathy track, like if you got all your sympathy down, is worth about 20 victory points.
Yeah, right.
So, it's like 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Maybe it's
Something
less than
like that.
Yeah.
But like, and as soon as you start killing sympathy, that allows me to place it again.
Yeah.
Gaining more victory points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can just keep spreading sympathy, and even if you guys just keep killing it,
You'll just keep
and
bringing
just
it
keep
back.
bringing it back.
And if we ever forget to kill one,
yeah,
or a couple, or 2,
yeah,
that's when you can get
or
your
you
base
go,
out.
oh no, that one's not a problem.
Yeah.
Boom.
And it also costs us, like, Churchy and myself I've got 2 actions, he's got 3 in our main phase.
Yeah.
So anytime we have to spend a battle just to remove your token, yeah, it's a victory point, but it also means we don't get to, in my instance, recruit or dig or flip a plot or anything like that. So
Yeah, right.
it costs us probably as much as we gain from killing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is great. It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's so underrated, but then I'm like, oh no, it's pretty well received as one
Yeah.
of the best war games there is. So
Yeah.
board games anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So hopefully, we also got to a point where it was quite obvious in that.
Oh, we weren't catching up.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
were.
exactly.
You had the lead.
Snowballed way too
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
You were running with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we called it a little bit. I mean, we'd still played for a couple of hours, so it wasn't like we called it early.
No.
I think it would be unfair to keep going. It wouldn't be an accurate representation of the game. So
Because by then you were on 15 or 16 victory points.
Yeah.
So you were like halfway to winning.
Yeah.
Churchy and I were
We were on,
both
like,
hanging
7
around
or
like
8 or something.
7 or 8. Yeah.
yeah, but more than
So-
that, it was just like I had the bottom half of the map
Yeah.
and an
Yeah.
insane engine. And,
Oh, you just
Yeah.
would
You
keep
had- you
pumping
had-
them out.
No matter what we sort of did at that point, you would be able to instantly counter it.
Yeah.
So you were just
Yeah.
so far ahead.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So like people might look at that like, oh, why'd you call it? But like,
Yeah.
it's not because like, oh, there's no way that we can win.
It would have been unfun, I believe, to continue
I think
watching
so.
that.
And
Yeah.
even for you, because you'd have been like, oh well, I have to kill
did-
that. You wouldn't. Like if me and Churchy is like, oh, all right, I'm clearing our shit again. You're like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have I'm just dominating.
No,
like,
no,
this
no,
is
no.
like, sorry guys.
I already felt bad when I got
Clear
to
the
that
table.
stage. I just didn't quite know what that faction could do.
No,
I think
yeah.
we all learned how quickly they can run away.
Yeah.
If you don't
Yeah.
keep on, if you don't destroy their buildings.
Yeah.
Yep.
And by the time I figured that out, I was like, and I was quietly like, oh, I can craft this and I can craft that. So I built
Yeah.
like a second engine of that.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
was just, it was unstoppable. So
yeah.
the next time we play, I think it'll be, again, like we said,
Yeah.
you guys had to learn first. So we'll go into the next time. No holds barred, dudes.
No.
I'll play the Eerie Dynasty and we'll see what happens.
Oh, you changed it up?
Nah,
Yeah?
no. I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. But
you do whatever you want to do, dude.
you don't want me
You
to play
do what
the
you
Eerie-
want to do.
You want me-
All right, yeah, what do you
Let's.
do?
That won't be funny. What if I play the Eerie Dynasty and if I lost? That'd be amazing.
That would be so good.
Let us know in the comments. You want me to play my super overpowered Eerie Dynasty, or you want me to keep rolling with the Duchy and see if they can overthrow the moles? Let us know.
We'll do it.
We'll do it. Whatever you say, we'll do it.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you've enjoyed. We loved playing Root. We loved rooting.
We loved playing
with each other.
We loved rooting with each other.
We will be definitely hitting it again, hopefully sooner rather than later.
I'll just leave it here, dude. We'll play it anytime.
Bloody yes, dude. Next week. Yeah. So massive thank you to our patrons. As always, we couldn't do it without you guys. You can sign us Patreon for as little as $2 Australian per month, 50 cents a week, and that helps us so much. And you get early access to content like this, early access to battle reports and all that sort of stuff, entries to our giveaways, and your name on the screen there, which I don't know if I've updated it currently. So apologies to you. Vumu, I think.
Is Vumu not
Is
on
Aaron
there?
on the homies? I don't know. If he's not, I'm so sorry, Vumu.
We
Yeah.
love you, Vumu. You're
course.
amazing.
Don't
As
see him
always,
on there.
thank
He's-
you to Burnsy, Whack, Final, MJ, Lethal, Moose, Penny, Gridlock, and Vumu.
Elko, Churchy, Rad Rooster, Ollie, Hockers. What have I done here? Elko, sorry. Foggy, Adrian, and Big Roach. Thank you all so much. You're incredible.
Thank you.
Enjoy your extra entry into our Bolt Action giveaway for this month.
Yes.
And
Yep.
every giveaway we do forever.
And of course, check out hobbyhomies.com for links to all the stuff, merch,
Yes, this is the outflanked front and back.
front and back.
That's how you get outflanked, of course.
$35 helps us so much as well. So keep an eye out for some new stuff that's coming real soon.
Sticking me this, sticking me that.
Stick it right on,
Thank you so much.
my brother.
Peace.
Peru.
Big up to the boys, Fox and Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice.